Is the May 9th meeting of the Zoning Board of Adjustment. Introductions. Kyle Bache is on my left. Member Robin Carter, our Land Use Administrator. I am Megan Kelly, Chair. Peter Coffin, Vice Chair. Rick Russman, Member, and Shaw Tilton, Member. Real quick, we will. Oh, is it on? It's on. I'm on. Can you? You're good. Okay. I will try and talk louder. We will start quickly with our minutes from March 14th.
I'll move that we accept the minutes as written, and they were very complete. Thank you.
Second.
Second by Rick.
I have a couple of minor spelling things. It was, I think it was error, E-R-R-O-R instead of error. So I can just like give you these couple of things if you want on the side. And yeah, it's nothing.
If they're not, if they're just.
It's just type. It's nothing substantial. It's nothing that. It was just some typo things. Yeah.
It's
so.
Not editorial. All right. So do we vote? Or is there anything else?
Nope. That was it for me. Anyone else have any discussion on the meeting minutes? Nope. All right, all in.
So we should
remotion to
we should
accept them with these minor.
Move to accept the minutes with the typographical submitted. Okay.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right,
Madam Chair, can I just say, Robin,
Yes.
I just want to give a shout out to Robin for being able to do the transcript on all of that while you were not here, following any of that. And I was reading through it, and I'm like, I don't know how you got that correct, because my English was horrendous in some of the points. I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe I said that. So I appreciate how hard it is to do all that. So just thank you for being so thorough on that.
Yeah, and as I said, there were some critical comments made by Rick at appropriate times, and you got those in the responses back. They're really good. That was what I was looking for when I was.
And one more item I'd like to mention is we did receive a letter of resignation from Ben Romano, who has been our alternate here on the ZBA for a while. We want to thank him for his time here, but he has now become a full member of the planning board, so there's a conflict for him. And so public service announcement, anyone interested in joining our ZBA as an alternate, we are in need of alternates because we now currently have none. So we would entertain, we have to confirm one, but we would entertain anyone interested in joining our happy crew here. All right. So we have one applicant with 2 applications before us tonight. So I will open the public hearing for Daniel Perry Builders, who has applied for an equitable waiver of dimensional requirements, as well as a variance on the single-family residential district building height. So we will start with the equitable waiver, if that works for you.
Yeah, you want me to split them up and just talk about the equitable waiver first?
I think that would be great.
You guys can vote on them separately.
Oh, you need to push the button on
sorry.
your microphone to turn it green.
There you go.
We're good now.
Thank you.
Perfect.
All right. Good.
If you could, state your name
All right.
For the record.
My name is Ryan Lavelle, representing Lavelle Associates on behalf of this today. Land surveying firm in Hampstead that did the driveway entrance plans for this. Before you today on behalf of Dennis Burbald, the owner, and Daniel Perry Builders to present a proposal for an equitable waiver and the variance, but I'll talk about the variance after, regarding the property located 28 Morning Dove. And we'll talk about the equitable waiver. First aspect of the proposal concerns an equitable waiver for this property. It is essential to recognize that this lot has been taxed as a buildable lot since its inception. It was approved by the planning board as is. Despite any historical oversight regarding frontage requirements, it has been approved and exists as a lot of record. Our client is now seeking to build on this lot only to encounter a rejection from the building inspector due to frontage issues. We appeal for an equitable waiver in acknowledgement of the lot's long-standing status as a buildable lot. and then I'll kind of back up. I had met with Glenn Greenwood regarding this, and I kind of went over the equitable waiver application with him and worded it like he wanted. Not that it may or may not matter to the board, but he was kind of on our side about trying to word it in a way that would be best for the board. And I'll answer any questions at this point about it.
I guess Peter had a question. Are the owners here, or have we received?
Owner is
Okay,
right here.
just want to make sure. Okay.
Builder is beside him.
Thank
So
you.
I'm here to go over all this stuff, but if there's any questions for builder or owner at any point, they're here to come up before you and answer them.
Thank you.
I have a question. You understand that when you were denied, it's because that's what the town ordinance says, that you have to come here. It's not a question of whether somebody was trying to give you a hard time or not. It's a matter of, that's what.
I understand. Yep.
Right, that's why you're here,
Yes.
because that's what the ordinance says, and not because somebody interpreted it one way or the other. You
Yep.
understand? Okay.
I know we don't get equitable waivers very often, so has the board had a chance to review the requirements for an equitable waiver? Or do we need to go, all right, I'll go over them if we need to, but if everyone's had a chance to review, then I won't.
I do have a question about your answer on the form here, where you said it asked if literal enforcement of the provisions of this ordinance would result in, oh, wait. That's the variance one, sorry.
Yeah.
That didn't make sense. That was this one. It's D. Will the cost of fixing the violation far outweigh any benefit to the public? And you answered no. Is that what you feel? That the cost of fixing the solution would not?
Yeah, that's how I feel. I mean,
Okay. The reason I'm asking that
fix that
is to fix it. It seems like since the person who developed this property owns the land adjacent, have you approached the owner of the adjacent property about purchasing the 36 feet?
to purchase frontage from them.
Yes.
We haven't, because I'm pretty sure that the lot next to it is under the same frontage issue. I'm not sure that one has 200 either, but I could be mistaken.
It's a large piece owned by the person who owned the entire property before.
Have not approached them. It's, again, I kind of stated in my presentation, and I talked to Glenn Greenwood about it, that this lot's been taxed as a buildable lot, and you can take it for what you will, but the prior building inspector, my client, the owner of this property who hopes to build this house on it, met with him, went over all these house plans, septic plan approved, all this stuff, got all of his ducks in a row, said, am I all set to get these permits, cut trees, blah, 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 and go start to finish? And that building inspector had said, yes, you're all set.
But hadn't issued a permit.
No, not at that time. There
Right,
wasn't.
so, yeah,
It was
so-
in the inception of, even before buying the lot and just making sure that everything was all straightened out. He had went before the town, and it seemed as if that time in his purchasing of this property, he was under the impression that it was a buildable lot.
Okay. So
I guess where this all stems from, and where I'm losing it a little bit, is that it's part of a subdivision plan that was approved by Kingston. Granted, it was a while ago, but who knows what happened there, because
that's the problem. We don't know.
Right, but I feel like that's kind of the whole premise of the equitable waivers, because nobody really knows what happened here. They shouldn't have created a non-conforming lot. One was created.
In fact, not only shouldn't have, they didn't have the authority to do that.
I wouldn't think so. I don't think
No,
you can
they
create a
don't,
non-buildable
because
lot.
it's a regulation, and
Right.
the planning board does not have the authority to waive regulations.
That is correct. That's
They
you
have to
guys.
get a waiver, and usually the planning board, if they are aware of that,
Yes.
they will
Usually
send
the
it
plan's
send the
reviewed
person
by.
to the ZBA to get a variance.
Right.
And then the ZBA would have gone through the process of why do you need the variance. you'll notice that a lot of the lots on here, I think there's these 5 or 6 that are 200.00 feet.
Right.
So that's within 1/16 of an inch of accuracy. And so obviously those numbers were picked because the engineer who drew this up and the guy who owned the property was the town attorney at the time.
Yep.
But or his mother owned the land, but he was the one representing her in the hearings. But so the question is, why would they have produced one lot that has a lot of setback requirements? You see it in the deed. There's a lot of.
I wish I knew.
Right.
About,
I know we don't.
We don't know. You know what I mean? We
so
can't look into the past. We can just realize that it is what it is. It's an existing lot right now. That now, my client that's already invested a lot of money into buying this property, with having the idea that this is a buildable lot, having trees cut, starting to dig a foundation hole, paying my firm to do a driveway plan, having a septic plan done.
Right.
I don't think any sane person would really pay for all these things if they didn't think the end result would be a home and not having to pay the person next door to now give me 30 feet of frontage or whatever.
Right.
Who knows why these lots were...
Obviously, we understand that there was a mistake made.
Yes.
But we just don't know whether or not the engineer who drew these plans up, being very precise, he didn't make a mistake on the distance, so that we can't give an equitable waiver on the honest mistake of measurement, because it's measured to within a thousandth or 1/100th of a foot. And you haven't had it, and the building inspector did concur with the surveyor, who said that is the correct frontage. So the mistake is presumably at the planning board. The problem is, without having had a chance to contact the members of the planning board who were there, one person who should have known, well, there's two, the town engineer at the time, I don't understand how the plans got by both the town planner, who was Glenn Greenwood, and the town engineer, who I believe was Ken Briggs at the time. I saw his name on Ken Briggs, who's no longer available to answer questions. And 7 board members, all to approve a rather obviously non-standard lot, a non-conforming lot. So, be that as it may, the question that comes up in the question you are answering here, what is the cost of fixing the violation? Well, the easiest fix would be to purchase 36 feet from Sumner, who should theoretically be willing to do that. And has the applicant approached about doing that?
You could theoretically say that it would be easy, but what happens if he approaches him and he says no?
Well,
where are we at here?
You got to ask first. So, and the reason why I asked you if you went no is the answer that would preclude us from granting that. Because if you're saying yes, the cost of fixing the violation far outweighs the benefit to the public, then if you built a building there, for example, this was discovered after the building was built, fixing the problem, I don't know, if you missed a setback, fixing that problem would have been very, very expensive. But fixing the problem before the permit is granted might be possible. We can't evaluate if we don't know whether the adjacent owner is willing to sell. Whether we could answer that question as yes, and we would have to answer the question yes, even though you've answered it no, in order for you to get to meet that criterion.
Just when I read equitable waiver, it seemed like this situation kind of fell right into the meaning of equitable waiver to me, and I just think that I don't know how to word it.
Okay, well,
it's just a boggle to me that a lot was approved. That, as you stated, that there's all these 200-foot distances, and obviously it was civil engineered, surveyor done, and there were purposefully lots left, but yet were approved. And it just seems like it's not even an error of measurement. It's more of a town administrative mistake, I guess, if you want to look at it like that.
Yeah, that's going to get
And
to,
if
Glenn
we're
Greenwood
looking at
has,
it like that,
Glenn looked at the plans, he went and got the plans out of the file, he looked at them and says he could not understand how that happened.
right.
And he doesn't remember anything else. And the only thing that we've got to resolve, really, is if this was the intention of the presenting engineer, was looking at that lot and realizing there's a 150-foot setback that for any building, and there was these, the shoreline protection, which covers the entire lot, and has restrictions and some other things, that, wetland districts and stuff like that, that he may have thought that with all those easements and setbacks, that it really wasn't going to be a buildable lot, and so didn't bother getting 200 foot of frontage, and nobody else noticed it. But without knowing what happened there, and I think there are people still in town that could answer that question. We don't know if, in fact, it's just a mistake, and it certainly would be easier to grant an equitable waiver than to go through the municipal, having you have to go to Superior Court for your municipal estoppel case, where they had approved a lot and said you could build on it at one point, and then found out later that it due to a mistake by the town, that wasn't the case. So I'm not saying that we can't grant it. I'm just thinking that from my looking at it, you meet some of the criteria, but obviously it's.
I get a little tied up too that the lot's been taxed as a buildable lot.
Yeah, I know. So was my back lot. It wasn't
buildable.
buildable. I had a back lot that only had 17-foot frontage on the road, and it was, when I bought the place, I paid the first year's taxes and stuff, and I came back in the second year and said, why is the taxes so high on this back lot? It's a wood lot, and I realized that they were charging me, and had been charging the previous two owners on it as a buildable lot. A lot of record doesn't mean necessarily it's a buildable lot of record. I just went in, gave them the correct dimensions on the lot, and the assessor isn't necessarily talking to the building permit, the building inspector and people like that. So that happens a lot. We have cases where people were paying for taxes on lots and cemeteries, which
I guess I would take somewhat of a contrary view in that I think that clearly it's kind of an administrative error in that the planning board didn't do what they should have done. And it was not going to be a buildable lot. It should have said right on the plan, this lot is not buildable, and that would have resolved it, and then you wouldn't be here tonight, because it wouldn't have been a buildable lot.
The way that I look at it, if
well, I'm not finished.
If it was intended,
let me finish.
if it was intended
Let
for
me
the lot-
finish.
Sure,
all right?
go ahead.
All right, thanks. So, I'm trying to help you out, okay? I'm trying to help you out.
I appreciate it.
Okay. So, given the fact that it wasn't, that many years ago, it got by our planner, and it got by the planning board, and it may have something to do with Sumner being the town attorney, I don't know.
I don't think so. He was there as the applicant, so.
Right, he was there as the applicant, but be that as it may, things were not as tight, shall we say, as they are today in terms of what went on. And so I don't have any great heartburn, given the facts of it, trying to make it happen for you. So I think that's what I would say.
Right.
I think what I would add to that is looking at the plans for the other lots, I noticed 2 other lots that are under 200 feet of frontage, and they have houses on them currently. Don't they?
Actually, if you look at those.
Yep.
Well, this one has two boundaries. Yeah, it actually adds
that
up to
have-
exactly 200.
This one has 2
200.0.
boundaries?
I got it something to say.
Where is the second boundary?
There's 2 boundaries markers right there and there.
Oh,
And so it
and
actually
then
adds
this
up.
one does too?
I know.
Yeah, they're all at least 200 feet.
Okay.
Because we
So
went,
there's, okay,
went
it just
through
doesn't
this
have
and
another
tried to-
dimension there to add in.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
here, right here. So this is
how well stocked.
181.29, and you add it to the 18.73,
Okay.
and you
Didn't see
get
that there.
201.
Okay.
And this one right here is 187.85 and
12.15. Okay, that
And you
makes
add it
more
up,
sense
that's-
now. I don't know
that
why
was
they
the
did that, but,
It,
Decide that you have the other house,
what?
lot 18.
That lot 18 is the one we're talking about, right?
yeah.
Look beside that, there's another house. Even though it doesn't go with that lot, I wonder if it was a secret.
Oh, 12.60? That's not, 112.60. Yeah, but that's listed as Sumner Kalman.
I know, but could have been.
It's actually a slope and drainage easement. And again, if that slope and drainage easement at 112 feet was just added on to that lot, that's, I really, you know, I'm agreeing with Rick in that it certainly appears to be a planning board error, and I have no doubt that happened. That's true. I just, without anybody who has any recollection of the events confirming that it was in fact applied to that, I would suggest that the engineer who drew up those plans and drew up a plan for a lot with less than 200 feet after doing 6 lots or 7 lots with 200.00 feet on them, would have been strongly aware of what he was doing and might be able to answer the question, why was this one short? And that's just what we're looking for, is an answer of why this happened. And then the other issue is, and that's the one that I just brought up to you, where you're given the answer no, what is the cost of fixing it? I think that it's minimal, and it certainly should have been. We can't answer this question that the cost is far outweighs any benefit to the public without knowing what the cost is.
Well,
So
for starters, you'd have to entertain the fact that that guy would definitely want to sell that piece and not handicap him into not building a house next to his piece of land, and you can't guarantee how much money that would charge him. Also, somebody drawing up the lot line change plans, i.e. me, would be a cost. And what's the benefit, what's the harm to the public on him being able to build a house on a lot that he thought was buildable, is my point. And coming from a survey perspective, if there's a lot that's really unbuildable to the left that we're talking about exchanging lines with, or technically unbuildable, or whatever we're talking about.
Well, it has an easement on it.
Wouldn't we, I would have included, if I thought that the lot that I was creating next to it, a part of that lot, and make it all just one unbuildable lot if I was drawing that up and thought that it was unbuildable.
Yeah.
I wouldn't draw a line through there seemingly strategically near the wetland to be able to create this lot, and only a section of the property is in the shoreline 250 zone.
No, the entire lot's-
And we're outside of it, so we're not disturbing shoreline.
I'm looking at the plans right now. The lower line, the 300-foot line, encompasses the entire lot. 150-foot building setback, it goes through the lot.
250 feet is for a shoreline.
No, 300 feet.
250 is for a shoreline application.
We've got the ordinance book right here.
I do them all the time, sir.
Okay, this isn't a state application. This is a town ordinance.
Town?
Town ordinance.
Then we would still have distance if
And
it was another 50.
300 feet is the town ordinance, and it's shown on here as 300-foot shoreline intersection, protection, I gotta read this, setback. If you see on your plans, there's a dash, a 2-dash line that says 300-foot shoreline protection setback.
I don't have 300.
I
got a 250.
This is on the approved plans that were registered to the county, the plans that were approved by the planning board.
The subdivision plan?
The subdivision plan.
That I do not have.
Okay, and that's what we're talking about, how this. Yeah, if you
Get a
have,
state, I appreciate looking at that. I got a state approved plan that's showing that we're out of the shoreland. I
Yeah,
do
it-
see,
but
I
you-
do
but-
see what you're saying, though.
Yeah, and that's because our shoreline ordinance includes Mill Pond as being, by definition, part of the shoreline protection. So,
It's still buildable area.
Why didn't they include this as part of this if it wasn't buildable?
you can build in the
That's
shore,
what I was trying to say.
you can build in the shoreland protection district,
Of course you can.
but you have a 20% coverage maximum and things like that. The 150-foot setback, which is what is your restriction here, is the building setback from the water's edge, and that gives you that area. That goes through most of the lot, gives you a small building area at the southern edge of the lot. So, be that as it may, it's subject to a couple different other ordinances in town that you haven't, that we don't do here. Conservation Commission does one of them, and
What are we talking about shoreline for?
you have the wetlands ordinance, and you have to comply with floodplain ordinance. You will be complying with, I assume, because you've got the latest floodplain maps, I assume. That's the building inspector enforces. And then the shoreline protection and the wetlands. Yeah, okay, so the shoreline protection. Right. So anyways, but we're not discussing that tonight. What we're discussing is how we came out with 183 feet. So the only part of this, let's see, is you obviously meet the requirement that it's been more than 10 years. Also, it was not brought to your attention by the town official or anything within that time. It says that the violation was not noticed or discovered by any owner, former owner, owner's agent, or representative, or municipal official, and that's the case here, until after a structure in violation had been substantially completed. That's not the case, or until after a lot or other division of land in violation had been subdivided by conveyance to a bona fide purchaser for value. And that is true. So you qualify under Section A by having been subdivided. And then the other options you have under B, it's not in ignorance of the law, although quite frankly it could have been by the planning board, but or obfuscation or bad faith on the part of any owner or agent or representative, but it was instead caused by either a good faith error in measurement. Well, we know it wasn't an error in measurement. That's been confirmed. Or ordinance interpretation or applicability made by a municipal official in the process of entry. And that appears to be the case. For one, the first building inspector that said that it was a buildable lot, in the planning board, acting as a municipal official, basically from the fact that they approved the plan and they didn't exclude that lot, would have made a mistake, as Rick had pointed out, that it's clearly a mistake of the planning board to have approved that. And let's see. The other part is that due to the degree of past construction, of which there's none, or investment made in ignorance of the facts constituting the violation, which is true, the cost of correction so far outweighs any public benefit to be gained that it would be inequitable to require the violation to be corrected. So this is the only issue that I really find is germane here, is that is there an alternate? Can we legitimately say that the cost of correcting this violation far outweighs the benefit to the public? And we don't know what the cost of correcting the violation would be.
Not at this time, but where is the benefit to the public? That's what I'm saying. Where would allowing them to build this dwelling be an issue to the public? Where does that come into
We're not
play?
saying that there isn't a benefit to the public or otherwise.
Yes.
What we're saying is we as a board have to be able to legally stand on a decision, and that decision according to the RSAs, is that you have to show that the cost would far outweigh any benefit, and where you aren't able to present any cost right now, for us to legally say that you meet this qualification, we need to at least be able to stand on that and say, it costs this much, do we feel like this is an amount that you should not be incurring? But until you do the research and bring that to the board, we can't legally hold up our decision and say yes. Does that make sense?
That's fair.
Do you mind if I just?
Yeah, in a second. I will say, if somehow, and I'm not convinced that it's even possible, we were able to pick up the feet needed to get 200 feet, then it would be a technical buildable lot and we wouldn't even need to come here, correct? If we made the lot line change
you wouldn't
and
need-
made it be 200
Yeah,
feet,
you would-
that would not be an issue.
Right, yeah, that is correct.
And he would also be taking onto his lot a slope and drainage easement, because that's what that area
Right,
there
and
is.
there's a slope and drainage easement, and
Isn't the best.
it's obviously right next to the shoreline. That part of his land wouldn't be buildable anyway, so, if you had a look at the tax maps, you can see that land extends significant distance all the way down to the former end of Morning Dove. And most of it, all the length of the mill pond is too small to build on. It's too narrow, thank you, that's the word, to build on. So I wouldn't think that would be an issue, and quite frankly, it's more of a technical point.
So I'm not sure if we're in a discussion point or we seem to be like, so not just hearing from the applicant. So I do have some questions. So even if it's a $1 cost to the applicant, that's still a cost that's being incurred. Even if that's a minor cost, it's still a cost to them. And if it's an error on the part of the town or people that have neglected that, is that fair to put that on them when we have the power to say, no, we can grant?
It was town mistake. Town doesn't want to get sued for municipal estoppel, and we'll let it go because we made the mistake a long time ago.
Right, it does not say that the cost has to be exorbitant for us to pass, it just says that there is some cost in some way, shape, or form
that the cost would outweigh
outweigh
the benefit.
Okay, but not to speak
Yeah.
for the surveyor here, but I'm imagining that any work that he does is going to incur a cost, and you have an hourly rate.
I was going to state, I'd charge at least like $6,000 to do this lot line change.
Right. So
how much are you going to buy the 30 feet for?
Right.
To trouble the other guy, I don't know, at least $10,000 or something like that is what I'm imagining in my head.
I doubt it, but
It stacks up though, is what I'm
It
trying
does.
to get through. Application fees,
So
time.
So then, on your behalf, I would say that yes is the answer to the question, and there's going to be X amount, at least $6,000 in cost to this owner, right? So you would want to, I would amend
If that
your
was the
statement.
if that was the route, I would amend my statement to say yes.
Okay,
Because the lot line change thing was not even a thought to us at any point, to be completely honest with you, because as you guys stated, and we're not going to beat a dead horse here or whatever, but
all right, so
it was in our mind a lot of record that was intentionally like that, and there wasn't a dispute until we've gotten to this date.
okay.
Right.
All this land next to it, when the subdivision was done, if this wasn't buildable, why was this lot chopped off, and why wasn't this all
That's what-
non-buildable?
Oh, yeah, you're not on microphone.
Sorry,
You need to
you
hand
have
the
to
mic
move- yeah.
down. And just
We're being recorded, so you have to just speak into the mic when you talk.
just say that again.
I was just wondering, when the
could you
lot
please
was
state your-
subdivided off with the subdivision, if this lot to the left of it is non-buildable, why was this lot chopped off and not marked as non-buildable with the rest of that land?
Well, this wasn't part of that land that Sumner still has is not part of the subdivision. That's not a lot.
This lot is,
Well, he's speaking about this.
I'm talking about the lot next to
Yeah.
the
Oh, the
-18
unbuildable
lot.
shown?
That was not part of the.
It wasn't part of the original
No, we
subdivision.
kept that.
Can I just ask you to state
Yeah,
your
but
name?
this lot was. The
Sorry,
lot,
I just need you to state your name for the record.
well, my name's Dan Perry.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So after that discussion, would you like to change your answer to yes on part
Because we're
D?
taking it from this perspective, yes, I would like to change my answer to yes because of the cost of buying the piece of land that would be needed for a lot line change, as well as the survey costs that would come from probably my firm to do the plan, as well as application fees, time for the client who I'm sure is dealing with a lot of mortgage issues with trying to finance the property as well as the housing stuff, architect plans, etc.
Okay.
All right, and I will state for the record that I believe that since that whole easement can't be developed, and that it really wouldn't affect the development of the lot next to it. So I think you'll have an apparent at least 200 feet because there won't be anybody coming in with a house and putting a lot, putting a house 20 feet from that line and causing an issue, I think, with the neighbors. I'm perfectly willing, if you answer yes, with legally allow us to meet that criteria, that I think that it's reasonable that a cost of $6,000 would be more than the benefit to the public. I don't know.
Great.
All right, so does the board have any more questions for the applicant before we open it up to public comment? No. Okay, so at this time, is there anyone here that would like to speak for or against this application? Okay. Then are we feeling we're in a place that we could make a motion or discuss, close the hearing portion, so we would deliberate. Do you have any more comments before we do that?
I would like to comment, yeah.
Yeah, let's move your microphone over and just state your name.
I got you.
I'm Dennis Burb, I'm the owner. We bought the property in 2021. But just to give you a little information, when we looked at the lot through the Realtor, I asked for all the information I could get. I tried to look into it as best I could. I've owned other properties in other areas, so I kind of mingled my way through it. My question to them was, is it buildable? Here's all the engineering I have. They had a septic design done, stamped by the state and all that. So I came to the town hall, went downstairs, talked to whoever I could talk to, including the old building inspector, on is it a buildable lot? What do I need? What's that? And she's like, the girl I spoke to was like, listen, I'd like to help you as much as I can, but we don't really, help you all day with this. Our advice is to hire a firm to do your due diligence. So I went online, I researched, and I hired Fieldstone Engineering Firm. And I gave them 7 specific questions. Is it a buildable lot? Is it approved? Is the septic design that I was given, that was approved, is that okay? The whole 9 yards. I paid them thousands to do the research, and they answered all the questions. And the first answer was, yes, this is an approved building lot, approved by the subdivision in the town, and including the septic design plan. And it went on to state everything else. So I try to do as much due diligence as I could. I don't really want you to think that I bought the lot, and now I'm just trying to build on it. I went as far as I could with hiring a firm to do it, so I wouldn't have any problems. So I just wanted to let you know that I try to do all my due diligence on a professional level and hire someone to do it, because it was beyond my means, so I wouldn't have any problems. And when this popped up, I was like, what is this? I mean, and I actually got in touch with that firm, and they were like, let me look into it and get back to you. And they called me back, and they're like, if you need help, we'll help you. But we had already used Ryan's firm for some surveying for the driveway and that, so I stuck with him. But they were like, no, we have no problem. This is what it is, and they were very firm on it. So I just want to let you know that I try to do as much research as I could, and I didn't just buy it not knowing. You know what I'm saying? So when I went on their recommendation when I bought the lot, that I had an approved septic design, and I had this firm's due diligence report on the property. So that's where we're at, and that's why when this all came up, I was like dumbfounded. Okay. So I just want to let you know.
Yeah, we appreciate those thoughts and the amount of research that you went into before purchase. We will close the hearing. We'll chat, if anyone has anything to chat about amongst the board.
I'll move that we grant the equitable waiver.
I think we should specify that, which criteria that we're granting it under,
Yep, we can,
that it wasn't an error in measurement, but that it was a, we just went through this, and I put my glasses back on. It was an error in ordinance interpretation or applicability made by a municipal official. It had gone unnoticed and unreported for more than 10 years. And we also need to state that we feel that the cost of fixing the violation outweighs benefit to the public.
you get that, Robin? Okay, so the motion that Rick would like to make is to grant the equitable waiver on the basis that the error was made by a misinterpretation of the ordinance by municipality, and that we do feel that the cost of violation would outweigh the benefit to the public. Is that? Yes. All right,
Yeah.
that is Rick's motion.
Okay, and I'll second it.
Oh, Rick will second that. Or not Rick, Peter?
Yeah,
Peter
we'll
will
do that.
second that, okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? All right. So the equitable waiver application has passed. So we will, you will get a letter decision on that within the next 5 days, but we will move on to the variance. Thank you for bearing with us on that.
Okay. Let me know when you guys are ready, switching that over. All good? Okay, again, for the record, my name is Ryan Lavelle, Lavelle Associates, land surveying firm, representing Dennis here, the owner, and Daniel Perry Builders for 28 Morning Dove. This time is a variance request from Article 103, Section 103.4. The second facet of our proposal tonight pertains to a variance requested from that article, which dictates the allowable height for dwellings. The allowed height is 30 feet, whereas our client is proposing 41 feet 4 inches. It's crucial to note that this property is not an outlier in terms of former height regulations or standards in Kingston. They are in the past. Many properties have similar height, including in the neighborhood that we're working at as we're proposing. And this is all depending on where you're taking your measurements from. The rationale for this variance is, the variance is necessitated by the denied building permit for height, stemming from the building inspector's interpretation of the measuring point for height. The inspector is measuring from garage slab to highest roof peak, which results in this measurement exceeding what is allowed. However, it's common practice to not measure from a slab, but from stairs or high grade on the high side from the street. The dwelling will appear to be compliant with all regulations, as it is a drive under on the left. It will pose no adverse effects on the health or safety of the general public at large. We will now take questions at this time about this variance.
First question is, why don't the plans show the height of the building? This plan right here?
The front elevation.
I think that they do. Dan, you're better about looking at these.
I'm looking for it. I see a lot of numbers on.
1 second, I'm
here.
gonna pass this over to Dan Perry, the builder. He's better at looking at architectural plans than me.
Okay.
There's a door schedule, window schedule, and there's a 8-inch rate.
If you look at rear, back,
Yeah, there's a
Oh,
rear
right here.
measurement, but
Okay.
Front elevation, that's
I
the
got it.
shortest one, yeah.
It's the last page. It's stated on the left side. I know it's hard to read these
Oh,
plans
in the
sometimes.
notes?
Last
back
page
elevation.
of it has the cross-section B, cross-section A, 41
Oh,
feet, 4 inches.
41.4.
Do you see it on the left?
Yeah, I do.
It's by the, for everybody else, it's by the details of the typical exterior wall construction.
Is that the rear elevation or the front elevation?
That's the side.
That's the rear.
Rear.
So
that's
is
not-
there somewhere that shows what the front elevation would be if you measured?
Deduct the foundation height of 8'6" would be the,
Oh, you got 10 feet you can subtract, because that's the height of the garage.
8 feet.
Oh, okay, you get,
Oh, is it 9 with the?
you got 10 foot there, you got 8'6" at one, yeah, well, 8'6" at one place.
Yeah, it's 9 feet with the, the ground, yeah.
Right to the footing is 8'6", okay, 7.77.
I know that these are hard to look at sometimes.
Yeah, it is, it's,
I try to draw these and I have a tough
They're
time.
showing this 8'6" to the top of the sill from the slab.
okay, one thing that might
It's 8
help,
foot they're showing.
might help us is that the town's definition of height is from grade to peak. The state building code definition is from grade plane, average height of the highest roof surface. Which I think we can agree if it's a new house, that the highest roof surface is easy to find, but
Yeah.
the grade plane is the part that's gonna help you out a lot here, because it's neither the slab at the garage entrance,
Right,
nor is it the front elevation. It's the average, let's see what it says, the actual wording from the New Hampshire Building Code is the average of the finished ground level adjoining the building at exterior walls, period. If ground slopes away from the building, which I assume it's going to here, it's the lowest point within 6 feet of the building. So when you take the average of the front, which looks like it's compliant, and the side, and the back, and the other side, and you, within 6 feet of the house, the finished grade, and that gives you your grade plane. So it's going to be a lot less than the 41 feet.
Yes.
Whether it's
fair.
30 feet, which is the
Right,
code
just not
requirement.
gonna be 30, I guess.
Yeah. Then the other question, and Shaw, you had that one, you asked.
Yeah, you showed a couple pictures of other properties and whether you know whether they got variances
No,
for
it just,
that.
no, it just appeared,
Totally,
it's
yeah.
for point of view. We just wanted some reference that it wasn't too different from what is already existing on the street. I just feel like when I go to these board meetings, a little bit more context to the neighborhood and heights and stuff make a little more sense.
Totally. I mean, I just drove by, there are at least 6 other houses, if not more, that are
It's
over
interpret-
31 feet, depending on where you're going from, the garage or wherever, so.
Exactly,
Yeah,
yes.
so I guess that was my question, like, who's responsible for figuring out how that was determined, if there were variances and/or?
Well, if they were to
it's
make
their
the point that and I think in the application it says that be no higher than the other, the home will be no higher than the others in this subdivision. And so if they're going to make that point, they would have to prove it, and they'd have to show the heights of the others in the subdivision to make that claim. Because if I look at this, I'm going to use, typically it's 8-foot walls interior, and you got a couple feet. I would grant you 10 feet per floor.
Yeah.
Kind of liberal, because, that's about. more
Starting
like
to be
ci- ci-
standard
city building.
nowadays.
Rough numbers, yeah.
Yeah.
But, so this is a 2-story house with initial gables up on top, and I would say that almost gives it 3 stories, so I'd say it's about 30 feet. Same thing here, you got 2 stories, and if that's 20 feet there, you probably got another 15 or 10 or 15, especially at the garage level. This one,
Right.
Definitely
this
higher.
one, I would say, if you took the average of all the areas around here, you'd be okay up front, but it might be a little over. And I agree
Understood.
that there are other places in Kingston, I remember, it's one
Certainly.
where Rick's house, this is one of the streets in that area, there's no way that ever came in at 30 feet. And
one would-
a lot of neighbors complained about that, which is why I'm bringing this up.
That's fair.
So, but I think you could make this work if you use the grade plane from the state code. Because
It's over 30 feet to begin with in the front.
30 feet in the front,
So
but
how are we gonna get it less than
it's going to be,
30 or less to get, when it goes down from there to the back and around? It won't be less than 30.
yeah.
He was trying to make the point of the average
Yeah, I
with
know,
the
but
grading,
maybe I
but I know.
misunderstand. The average, you take basically all the way around the house?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
That's what he's
each
mentioning.
side, the lowest point on each side
Right,
within 6 feet of the foundation.
right.
So, which is better, because if it keeps sloping down, you'd end up
Right.
losing out on that. And that's the building code that Pedro's gonna be using, so.
No, I understand that. I build in every surrounding town, and I've never crossed this bridge in 40 years. Never.
Yeah, well, if it's any consolation, we're discussing that now.
Yeah, I built one in
Next
Kingston
March
last
we'll
year. It's
change the
taller than
building
30
height,
feet.
but
Never had an issue.
doesn't help you right now.
When, do we know when this particular ordinance was put in? Was it potentially put in after some of these
It actually
buildings,
is
or-
from the state standard, of zoning ordinances, so, and it's probably based on, towns with fire departments that don't have ladders or something, but it's,
I thought that, but
it's probably, they just copied and pasted the state guidance back in the 60s on it. There's a standard, if you don't want to make your own zoning regulations, there's a standard state zoning regulation, and that's where the 30 feet comes from, so.
it didn't make sense on the fire department, because you can build in the commercial zone, you can build a house 35 feet, or you can build a commercial building 45 feet. So the
yeah.
fire protection thing didn't make sense.
And we've just been through that issue.
I hear you.
What?
So,
They said that they had just been through
we've
that.
been through that issue with
Another application.
and so, being as it may, it's, if you've got to go through the variance criteria and be able to demonstrate, and as you'll discover, that you have to find something unique about the property that's going to make,
Building to 41 feet a requirement.
yeah, that it would require you to go over 30 feet. So you couldn't build a house.
It'd be flat roof. This house would be a flat roof if it had to be 30 feet.
Yes.
Pretty much. Yeah, if you, I mean, yeah, you had the 8 feet, 10 feet, 10,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think another thing to keep in mind is that, and you've built other homes here, have you? Yeah. That the previous building inspectors were not always compliant with the regulations.
Right.
And we, yeah, and so we now have
I never
asked-
realized there was a height ordinance because it wasn't brought up.
And we have asked the building inspector, our building inspector we have presently, to go by the book, and that's what he's doing, so that's why
I
you're
can
here.
see that.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah,
just- you ought to know that going forward, that, just so you know.
I went in and I got my application. I can go into it with you, but I don't think I need to.
No, that's all
He
right.
dropped the ball severely
Well,
on other issues, and then this came along after the other issues weren't resolved. And then they were resolved. We had this drawing for the driveway permit done, which we didn't know. He didn't tell us this in the beginning, so. I go in every other town, I get an application for a driveway in a house, I submit it, and there's no other question. They tell me what they need the first time in.
yeah.
I waited
Just
2
for
weeks.
information, by the way, the driveway permits are done by a different entity. It's done by the.
Yeah, it's
He told me
Pilgrims.
that he dropped the driveway permit off at his office, and I did.
Right, and he
I
passes
waited
it
a
on.
week and I got no calls. I called the driveway department, and they said that he had to bring the application down. He brought it down there, he signed it and made a copy of it, and he told me that he didn't have it back. And I still didn't have a driveway permit. Yeah.
Well,
Jumping off on the wrong foot.
Yeah,
It's
it's,
just
yeah,
what he's
and I'm like,
Sorry,
what is this?
Didn't
Why?
want to get you off on the wrong
Yeah,
turn.
just tell me up front what you need and we'll do it, you know? Don't tell me this way and then do it another way, and here we are, you know?
At this point, did you want me to go over the variance criteria listed, or did you want to keep having discussion?
No, we would love to hear your thoughts
Okay.
on,
I
if you want to
was
add
just
anything
going to read
to any
off
of
for the
these.
record what we had for variance application is all that I was going to, I figure that's valuable. The proposed variance will not be contrary to the public interest because the home will be constructed below the street elevation and not appear to be exceptionally high. Two, the spirit and the intent of the ordinance is preserved because this home will be no higher than others in the subdivision, as we spoke about earlier, and not higher than many older homes in Kingston. Number three, there is substantial justice in granting this variance because it would allow the builder to construct a home similar to those in this subdivision. Four, the value of the surrounding properties will not be diminished because this home will be valued and at the same height as the others on this road. Five, literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance would result in an unnecessary hardship because, as stated before, other homes on this road are at the same height, 41 feet 4 inches from the garage under elevation, approximately 30 from the ground level in front. It's a little higher, but those are the criteria.
Yeah. So when it comes to variances, the first four criteria are not usually too difficult to prove.
Yes.
It's the hardship criteria that is usually where it gets a little difficult and a little dicey. So I
can speak a little bit more to hardship if you want from our perspective.
That would be great.
The contours on this lot with how we have the driveway carving in from the street and it being higher in the front and lower in the back is the hardship is the topography existing on the lot, is the way that I can see it. On why the heights are what they are.
Topography in that the whole lot is low, or that the buildable
That
area
the top is higher, so it appears like it's meeting it in the front, and the lower bit is lower, hence why I'm asking for this variance. I think the topography of the lot is the hardship. That it makes sense to not try to fight the grade with building the house and trying to do a garage on the side, coming straight in, attached, rather than the lower like we have proposed. You're fighting it.
Is there anything else down on that level other than the garage?
I didn't get that beat.
Sorry, is there anything, is it like a
Walkout basement?
a drive-in basement garage?
Yeah,
In the
that's,
sense that it's below the,
Below the foundation, at
That's-
the bottom of the foundation,
And
the grade on the driveway.
And it's
there's nothing else on that floor then, right?
Nothing else what?
On that floor other than the garage? There's nothing
No,
on
the
the basement?
basement, the basement.
just basement.
It's a walkout basement.
That's the hardship that I saw from this
Because of the grade of the
application.
land, it will walk out onto the grade in the back where the lot slopes off.
I just wanted to give you one more point too, also. Again, when we did my due diligence, one of my questions to the engineering firm was, could I get a daylight basement walkout with full windows? And that was actually one of my questions. And I had given him a preliminary drawing, what we wanted, not the exact, but very similar. And his exact answer was, yes, you can design build the house that you're looking at to have a walkout basement, full windows, and knee wall, etc. So again, this is going back 3.5 years that we did our due diligence just for that reason on the topography and the walkout. So I just, and the way the lot's shaped, to add on more, do a garage next to it, the driveway is gonna be very minimal to even turn around because of the shape, it's an L-shaped lot on the building envelope.
Okay, so I see where you've got a rear elevation, and that one actually does, that's the best place to find the overall height.
Right.
It's got that one on it.
That's the whole, yeah.
That's page 6. But that does show, three sets of double windows in there, so is that, but that's a basement?
Yeah, it's a basement, maybe for future, but I'm gonna be so honest with you, the hardship I have for it is, my wife's a caretaker for her mom who's 90 and ill, and right now, she's with us and we have stairs, so this whole plan on the first floor is so she does not have stairs. So we're trying to accommodate her instead of putting in a nursing facility. And, when we started this, it was all the COVID, we went to 2 architects, trying to find a builder, that's why the process has been so drawn out with COVID. And as she's getting worse, we really need to get her in some way where there's no stairs, and we're trying not to put her in a facility, so that's why we're trying to do all this. So that's,
So you're saying that'd probably be like an ADU type of situation down on the bottom floor?
probably a game room or something later at some point, I don't know, but right now, our focus is try to get her on one level with no
All right, so
stairs.
right now it's an ADU, so that she
On the
can-
main floor.
I'm sorry.
You gotta, yeah,
Yeah.
on the main
The
floor.
main floor has the master on it for her and her little space and everything, so she doesn't have to do stairs, because she You know,
Oh,
she doesn't
okay.
want to go to a nursing home. My daughter's a nurse, so we're taking care of her, and that's, again, the time is, you know, we've had a delay of almost, what, a month and a half, 2 months on the permit, and, you know, we've got our house sold, but we can't sell it, and it's just, you know, one thing after another. And we're trying to facilitate that for her.
So I'm thinking the one thing we would really need is to actually find out the amount of the variance requested, and that's not going to be the 41 feet, because that's only on one side of the house. And, well, two sides, sort of. It's going to be the average of the total, of the average of the.
Trying to figure out what the exact.
Well,
Area
actually, I
surrounding
think, I don't want to speak for Ryan, but the lowest point is where the garage, and then it all builds up from there, so.
Right, that's what I'm saying,
It's the
but you
garage
don't,
under, that's the lowest spot.
but you don't have to
I'm gonna
take.
try to see if I can come up with that,
Yeah,
that exact distance that I'm thinking.
He's saying the variance request is actually going to be for a lesser amount.
A lesser amount than 41, because if we're going by the average,
Because you
we're
go
trying
by
to
the
come up
grade
with a
plan
better,
instead of
it's gonna
the
be lower
lowest.
than that. If-
I don't understand the question.
It's all right.
I gotta hear him.
Yeah.
But
So,
just talk,
yeah.
you guys can talk.
Probably explain
Yeah,
it
I
to you.
can explain. What they're saying is because they're going by the average grade around it, that we're not gonna be asking for 41 feet.
Oh, it'll be
six-
less.
6
Oh, all
inches.
right, I understand.
It'll be a lesser grade than that.
Okay, it'll be a lesser amount on the total.
Well, here's the deal, is that the town only uses the term grade,
He's using the definition, not.
and I'm using the definition that is provided by the state building code, is grade is the average of the heights around the building, proposed building in this case. The difference is the state, the peak uses the average height of the roof surface, and we use the apex. So we're gonna have to go use the apex, because the town regulation is worse than the state for them in this case. If they were using the average height of the roof, the way the state does, then you could draw a line right about halfway across the roof, and that would be the average height of the roof, highest roof.
Ours is more strict, so.
We've got a lot of different roof heights here, but you take the highest roof height, the one that has the highest roof height, and then you take the average of that entire surface. But we can't use the state definition, because the town did put a definition of what the highest point is.
It seems like with our rough
not on grade.
calculations, with what we're coming up from the sill up for an elevation is, sorry, thank you.
A little over 33.
Is like 32, 33 feet instead of the 41 if we're looking at it from this perspective of a variance, and that's in the front.
One thing you might want to be aware of is that whatever we might grant tonight,
Yes,
if it doesn't meet it, you won't get a certificate of occupancy
yes,
at the time you want a certificate of occupancy.
I
So-
understand that.
So you might, if you're estimating 32, you might ask 35.
Right.
Because quite frankly, if you're 32, you're almost at the point where
I know what you're, I know what you're saying. I'm trying to think on the fly of what makes sense.
So I'm wondering also,
Asking for 36 or something like that? Or do you
just
think
on
we
their
need more than
behalf,
that?
whether it would be
38?
helpful to, the options are we could not vote on this tonight, right?
yeah.
I know.
yeah,
Listen up, guys, hey, guys, just-
So,
you want to just listen to this? Excuse me just for a minute. Do you want to just hear what he's saying, because this is important?
Yep,
you've gotten the first part, right, from us approved, but the other option would be for you to, for us to not
It would be
vote
for
on
a
this.
continuation.
Right, for a continuation, so you could get that number correct, the best to your ability, and come back. I know that's a delay for you, but at least you're working with a real number that you can feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if that's,
I think that's a good suggestion.
It's right here. I mean, we can add up these numbers. I can give you a number we're comfortable with. You were asking, I know we're over 30 feet is what I was insinuating. So, I mean, you want me to give you a number?
It's really, as Charles said, now it would be up to you,
36?
but
Are you sure? You wanna go with
I
38?
think before we even do that, we should probably
It'd be more than safe.
clarify what the
38?
unique,
Hold on, guys, you probably ought to listen to what's being said.
you really need to give us, in your own words, you've kind of worked around it, but the unique character of the land, let's take it straight from the,
yeah,
that First is to show that because a special condition of the property that distinguishes it from other properties in the area. So you've talked about the grade, the fact that it's the lowest.
Sloping conditions.
The sloping conditions, well, the other parts are not sloping conditions, but it's the lowest property, the building lot in that development.
Yeah.
So I would say that would be one of the unique qualities that would distinguish it from other ones near it. It's
Very fair.
It's encumbered by setbacks.
Yes.
Because of the fact you're on the water. You're the only property that's on the water in that development.
Yeah, I can speak to that a bit more. Like you said, it is probably the lowest, and it suffers from dealing with, as we stated, with the other equitable waiver, and now this is trying to stay out of shoreline, trying to stay away from wetland setbacks. It kind of throws the house into a spot where it doesn't make much sense for him to do what he wants to do. The grade is higher in the front and lower in the rear for trying to make comply with the 30 feet. We were just speaking about what would make sense, and I think the 41 feet 4 inches, we won't even need that much. We were doing calculations and we were thinking that 38 would more than suffice. And I'd be willing to do a plan or anything after the fact to show that it met that at the time before occupancy or during construction or anything to atone to the fact that the grades are gonna make that 38.
That's something we could do conditional to your providing that, and it would be a conditional.
I would feel comfortable doing that.
And then the building inspector would, once he got those, he could tell the chair that condition's been met.
I agree to the condition that my firm will produce a plan showing grades and showing that it will not exceed 38 feet if that's what's granted tonight.
Point being that you're gonna have to live with a number,
Yes.
just so.
Yep, we're more than comfortable
fine.
living with 38.
Just doing quick
We were doing
calculations
calculations and we're probably giving ourselves 2 more feet than we need, but we're not gonna come here 2 months from now during construction and say, hey guys, we're at 38.5. It's just not gonna be the case. We're giving ourselves space and we think that we can abide by it, and I can show proof that we did during construction.
Okay, does the board have any more questions to clarify anything on the application? Then I would like to open it up to public comment
Yep.
on this project. If anyone here would like to speak, please come up. We have the microphone, you can state your name.
Go for it.
If you could just pass the microphone down to the end of the table, that would be great.
Or grab that one, Paul.
Oh, that works. Stacy Dion, 30 Morning Dove. I just want to make a clarification to the board that when we built our house, we needed to fill in our lot 8 feet in order to get our everything proper. So we did have that sloping issue, but we needed to fill in our lot 8 feet. And it was a cost to us. And I just wanted to clarify that because you said you are the only lot like that, but I just want to state. I am the lot next door, yeah. And we had to fill it in a minimum of 8 feet around our lot so that we could have a
So
basis.
you met the height requirement? Yeah.
What? To meet
So
the
you
height?
met the height
To meet the height. Actually, we had to do that, plus we had to reduce our pitch of our roof. So, and we did have the sloping in the back, and if you actually go back, you can see how far our lot goes back. I just wanted to clarify that you're not the only lot that had to deal with it. It's just there are different ways to deal with it. Anyone else? Okay.
Chapman, I'm on 4 Kinneret, so I abut you way out the back. I was just more curious just to see if I could see what the plan looked like, because 41 sounded really...
Which one do you want the house?
Yeah, I just want to see like what the plan was. I imagine you would probably had to go low, like, and pull in. Next to it. Yeah. Just kind of curious.
Very similar in height to those ones in the,
So is this the back facing the street?
Is what?
Facing back at the street?
That's facing the street, yes. That's the side elevation down there as well. And there's
side.
That's where the house. That's the location of the lot, to that front.
Gotcha.
corner.
And so this is the garage over here?
Yeah, this is the
And that's where
driving
they're saying the
garage.
41 was from, at that low
From
point?
that lowest point, yeah, from the pavement at the garage to the peak of that. And it comes around the corner to a walkout in the back, you know, because of the sloping grade.
Yeah.
As it is, we're gonna have to bring fill in there
Yeah.
as it is, it just depends.
Looks nice. Yeah, no, I was just kind of curious to see, like, what you guys are doing. I don't have any suggestions.
Thank you.
It's an interesting point.
Yes.
You can, it's a very small building envelope on this lot. The irony is, as he points out, that you can fill, that brings your ground grade up. And the front of the house is, the part that's going to be seen from the road is the front elevation, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the front.
The house would be, you could make it legally by, one, reducing the pitch a little bit, but also by filling so that you didn't have the drive-in back. The issue would be that's not, the visual effect from the road would be exactly the same, because you'd have to bring fill in to elevate the whole house, as opposed to, you know, in order for the grade, you know, you could bring it in to within 6 feet of the house and then have it slope off. But, and you could still get into the garage, because using the averaging system, by filling in on 3 sides, you'd be staying within the minimum, but it would not affect the visibility of the house. And if the intent of the ordinance is to provide fire protection, and the fire department says that they don't want to see any residential use above 35 feet, that's just why we talked about area C1, and that's what they feel is safe. If roof structure's above that, they're not worried about it. But so I think if the intent of the ordinance is to keep things like apartment buildings from getting really high, or to keep fire safety, then it doesn't make any difference if you bring in fill in the back or not. I mean, it's a way of complying, but I don't know. You can ask the other board members how they feel about that. It's usually we have saying that, you know, because variances are supposed to be hard to get, that if you have a way of complying with the ordinance, you should.
I was going to bring up that point as well.
Yeah. But I'll let other people weigh in on that. I'm a little undecided about that, because I don't see it creating either a safety issue or a visual change. It's a bit like those septic systems that are, because you don't have, and you're going to probably have this issue too, because
Yeah, trying to
water.
keep it out of the water table.
Yeah, you're going to have to elevate that, and so you see these houses perched up on areas to
As far as background, in the front, we'll backfill it up within 8 inches of the top of the foundation. I mean, that's the best we can do, whether the house is at this elevation or that elevation.
Yeah, as it is, we're bringing in a good amount of fill for the front to get it to the point that we're asking for tonight, and the side, regardless of anything. That's kind of how the house has to be built over there.
And the roof pitch, have you considered a more shallow roof pitch?
What's that?
Have you considered a more shallow roof pitch?
On
It can come down a little.
the main roof can come down a little, I think. The other end.
It can come down a little.
Come down a little, you want to come down lower, not change these, change the look of the house.
Yeah. No, she's referring to the middle one.
Right, so we dropped that to an 8 pitch now. Probably drop it. I would drop it less than a 6. Go below these.
Right. 6 pitch.
And they change plans, or they just?
Drop it 32 inches on 6 pitch.
Yeah.
That would go lower than these, I don't think that's what we.
Yeah.
Dropping this roof pitch down to this level, keeping these. That's what it's gonna take. From the front, if you're looking at the front of that, we can drop the roof pitch down to match, leave the roof pitch on the front gables, and then drop the main pitch down to a 6 pitch to meet what those front gables are, even though those will still remain in 8. And we can drop that roof probably 30 inches to do that.
So I guess why I asked that is, like Peter brought up, if you are able to comply with an ordinance, you are required to comply with an ordinance. You know, we are allowed to give some variance within reason, but you know, it is a little give and take too. As you heard, you know, an abutter has gone through this process and has had to jump through a lot of hoops to build their property in a very similar fashion. So, you know, we have to kind of discuss what you guys are, you know, willing to adjust in order to, you know, make this more compliant.
And probably one of the ways of doing that would be to bring the average grade.
Yeah.
It would bring it down further, yeah.
And
Just bring it closer to that 35 foot height. Be closer, I'm not saying it would be the 35, but it'd be closer if we drop that roof in.
The ordinance is 30 anyway.
Well, the
Right.
35 is in the commercial.
Within the commercial zone, this is single-family residential, so
Yeah, I mean-
it needs to comply with a 30-foot.
Okay.
Yeah,
yeah.
it doesn't,
No, it still doesn't.
Right.
no. It's the key.
Does anyone else have any
It gets,
comments or?
Can we ask Stacy whether she had to have any variance requests? Are we able to do that?
I
Yeah,
think they just,
I think so. There's a, yeah, I was gonna say, there's another microphone here too. You're welcome to use that one. Just hit the green button. There you go.
I do not have any variances for my house.
Right. In your house, I mean, you're not in trial here, right? But your house also looks lower than the other houses, but again,
It's
so it's
2-story.
it's 2-story,
Yep.
yeah,
It's 2-story.
right. But it's one grade, which.
It's one grade that
yeah.
we put in, that we did
Yeah.
because we had that issue, because we had water issues, even up on my lot. So we knew that we had to bring it in, we had to bring a lot of CN in for our septic. We need some tips, sorry.
tell them something they don't know.
Sorry, just, yeah.
well aware.
Yeah, so we had to fill in, a good 8 feet to 10 feet across our lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
To get,
it's all one level, like you said, there's no
it's
walkout
all,
or anything.
no,
on the
it's
same
all
grade.
one level.
How did this, I mean, and the septic is fine.
Septic is fine, but it's all in sand.
Important.
And,
And it's probably about 10 feet from the original grade in that area of the lot.
and you, Stacy, you also said that you dropped the roof line, is that correct?
Yeah, we
Do you
were gonna do
remember
a
what-
16 pitch. We were trying to do a French country house, and we had a 16 pitch, and then with the 16 pitch and all the grade issues, we actually had to drop the pitch to, I think it's 12 now or something like that. So it was supposed to be more, I mean, it does still look like a French country house, but it's not as high as it was originally.
So that's helpful, so thank you for answering. I know you're not on the spot, but you're right next to
I
them.
have my
so-
occupancy permit now.
You want to give that back to them?
Oh, no, it's a separate one.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure we're not in discussion point around
Right,
this.
I mean, we can, if there are no more questions and the applicant has no more information that they would like to give us at this time, we can close the
I have
question
a
and answer
question.
part.
I just
Yep.
want to make sure the owner understands what's happening here, and you okay with what we're talking about having happen in terms of the way your house will be. Yes?
Oh, I understand, yeah.
Okay.
And like I said, this has been a long process for us, and just so you know, we're on our third revision of plans, and I'm my second architect because one of my kids had moved out, so this house is smaller than what we originally planned from the onset, so we've already shrunk it once and
Lucky.
made a lot of adjustments. So, you know, we've already gone through all these stages already, and it's, like I said, it's just been one thing after another, so this is kind of our final thing, and, you know, if I have to drop the roof line to make it palatable to everybody, then, you know, it is what it is on that. And I know we're gonna have to bring in more fill anyway, so, you know, we're aware of that, so, whatever it's
So-
gonna take.
So just along that line, so if we deny it, then if the board ends up denying this request, then you're at 30 feet. Right, am I right?
Yes.
Right, unless
Well,
you.
no, if the variance request is denied,
Yeah.
they would have to comply with the
the
30, or the 30-foot ordinance. Again, there are ways of making that happen without, other than changing the pitch of the roof, is bringing in fill on a third side, so that your average grade is significantly higher than it was on this plan, and you can probably hit that mark. Yeah, because it's the average, and that's just something that, in the absence of having a town definition of grade, you've got to use the state definition that's in the building code. And the only reason we can't use the state definition for the average roof height is because we've got it in the ordinance that the definition of the roof height is the cap.
Right. So the only way to significantly adjust that,
Is to adjust the
grade,
grade.
it would be to fill the back and not have the windows in the back. You
And
can
that's
still have,
actually a big part of what we want to do is, you know, in the future, if we wanted to have like a family room or something in the basement, and also the drive under garage. So if we weren't able to do that, honestly, we'd have to weigh our options, because I don't think I want to wait any longer on the project, and at that point, we'd probably fill the hole and put it for sale, to be honest with you, and take a loss on everything. I'll be deadly honest with you. Because this process has been lengthy for us, you know, not on your part, but with architects and everything, and with COVID, and I'm just kind of getting mentally spent with everything. And like I said, we're trying to accommodate her mom, and if that means we have to sell it and buy another house already built, and, you know, that's the predicament I'm gonna be in, because every delay, every month is just making things worse for the family, so. You know, if I have to drop the roof line and bring some fill in, I understand, but, I've been compromising the whole time on everyone's else end to try to make this work, and it's getting pretty difficult, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm not saying which way we were voting, I just want to make sure that you're aware of what a potential.
Options are,
Yeah.
and it may be a little bit of both, you know. Not gonna get, you know, maybe as much a variance as you want, but a few feet, and adjusting everything to make that work is.
I mean, the point of this is to allow slight variations.
Slight variations, yeah.
In the
And
ordinance, right?
that's-
And if they do the fill and we get a lower average, that's gonna help the case. We don't really have solid numbers to work from right now. We're always kind of guessing, oh, it might be like this.
Yeah.
It might be like that. We're gonna plan to do this.
And that's where we come up with a number, say, if we came up with.
If I have a more
35,
accurate
and-
plan than
and they would
this,
have to come up with
then,
a grade
you know,
plan that would show that.
Much greater chance of granting a variance than just assuming
Right.
what's going to be. We're just assuming what the numbers are, but we're not sure. We don't have anything concrete.
Yeah, right.
Unless they tell us.
It's they say that they will accept, say, I'm just arbitrarily saying 35, and then they can make that work and provide the plans, and they understand that that's what's committed to, that we're not gonna go for 38 or, you know.
Yeah.
Because that would be basically the 41 they're coming in with, but using the
Because there's
the
a big
proper
difference
math.
between 41 and 32, the average frontage. You know, I mean, there's.
Right,
I mean,
and that's what we're saying. We've already, by establishing what the baseline we're using, we've already taken a lot of that 41, that 11-foot difference out of this variance request. So, because they're looking for 11 vertical feet for variance. And
but now they're gonna
and
fill
then
in the back,
the
though,
pitch,
it's gonna be.
I can't remember what you said, dropping the pitch to 6 was gonna, from 8 to 6 would give
You said
you
about 30 inches?
30 inches or so.
Plus 2.5 feet.
So is there a number, right? You had said 38 earlier. I mean, that's,
That's not.
I still think it's a little high.
yeah.
It is, because that's based on 41. That's only 3 feet down the line, and you can get more than that by using the grade
Right, because
instead of the basement, instead
you
of the.
wouldn't have to necessarily come up and cover the windows. Like, you could still come up against the, you know, the foundation more and fill in the back and still potentially have windows.
I mean, I think that even without any fill, just using the correct calculation method, you're gonna get at least
Right, but we don't know
4
what
feet.
that's gonna end up being.
Because we don't know what
all the grades are gonna be.
But yeah, so, right now, I figured between the calculation method and dropping 2.5 feet from the pitch of the roof, gives you 35 feet. So that'd be the maximum.
Turn that off so you guys have privacy.
I would,
Let me
Yeah.
ask you this, guys. Should we take like a 5 or 10 minute break here so you guys can get your stuff together here?
Okay.
Short break,
Yeah, that's a good
I
idea.
don't
I
mind.
think if we're getting to a closer point, that I think if we're making a compromise.
Right.
Okay.
So I think the point of us making, you know, the slight variances are okay.
Yeah.
A slight is a
We're
few
getting-
feet here or there, you know,
By
8
what
to.
we're going through, we're getting closer to the more slight than extreme, and I think that's what you guys wanna see too. So if you just give us a couple minutes.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
We'll come back with a definitive what we want and, go from there.
That sounds great. All right, we are going to continue with the hearing here. All good in there? Okay.
Okay. Resuming what we were speaking before, we did all sorts of calculations, dropping roof line and such, and filling in some more in the back than what we previously were thinking. Before we had the recess, we thought we were at 38, but we decided we could drop the top roof line more to bring down the average. So a fair number that we think that we can abide by would be 36 feet.
Turn your mic on.
That doesn't seem like much of a change from,
38, 2 feet lower?
well, no, from,
Yeah.
it'd be interesting, what did you figure out your final grade's gonna be? Average grade, because that's really the,
36 feet.
Yeah, that's what we're thinking.
no,
shooting for
the
average
average grade, as far as how far above the basement floor. And how,
The
and-
average
or
grade?
below the, yeah, the grade is what we're really looking at here.
Yeah.
Is the height of the average height of the ground around the house.
Yes.
So it's gonna be 41, if you didn't change the roof pitch at all,
Yes, we did.
it's 41 feet down to the basement.
Yes.
And it's probably about 30 feet at the front elevation, right?
Yep, 31.
Oh,
We came
31?
up
think
to
it
the
was
grade,
32.
31 we came up
Okay,
with.
so presumably,
Around.
if you took an average, it would be,
Come down to 41 at the grade.
down from the top, it would be, what? If you just took an average between those two.
Yeah, what?
Just taking an average.
Average
Yeah.
between those two, because I don't know what the slope is.
Right, I mean, you're starting at 31, you're going around the house to the garage at 41. So, I mean, we could put knee walls in halfway across the back to bring that grade up,
So that's
to make that
10
average
feet, so 5 feet.
36.
So, yeah, so 36 would be what I would come up with.
From 41, we could drop it to
41.
36.
Now you drop the roof.
By dropping the
30
roof to a
2 inches,
612,
2
yeah, we
feet.
dropped the roof to a 6.
That gives you from 36 to 34, which is,
That was with the roof drop.
well, we were starting at 41,
Yeah, 41.
at 41 and 31, and taking the average of those, it would be
In between.
10, so it's 5, that'd be 36.
36.
Yep.
36, we
Yep.
did that. Now we're gonna take 2 feet off, 2.5 feet off the roof.
Yep.
So that's 33 and a half.
Yep,
And that's not with bringing any fill, that's just, I mean, you'll have to probably bring in fill, because on that one side is where you got the windows.
Yeah.
You probably have to.
probably a
limit
4-foot wall on that.
couple of
end.
those, you
It's
probably
what it
have
would take.
higher windows or a little bit shorter,
Yep.
so that you bring that. But,
He's thinking we can
yeah,
get
we
it
still
down
have to do
34.
that.
I don't-
But
I'm not comfortable with
we're
that.
trying to come up with a number.
There's the rise and the ridge and the rafters. I don't think it's too close.
So
I
I'm
don't think we'd
thinking
be comfortable with 33 and a half feet. It's too close to build it and have no fudge factor. So I think we need to stick with the 36 feet for the average, to be comfortable.
Okay, well,
I mean, if I drop that roof pitch anymore, it's gonna take away from the whole look of the house. It's not gonna be the house that he
no,
wants.
I think reasonable
Yeah,
accommodation on the pitch is 2.5 feet.
It's the amount of fill that would make us comfortable with variance that we would like to grant is,
not comfortable with what?
I think,
The amount, the average grade level around the house.
Yeah,
You came in here saying that the building inspector wanted it from the basement floor at the garage, and you thought it should be from the front elevation, and we're telling you that the state says it's gonna be an average.
average, right.
So that really gave you quite a few feet right there, and with the pitch and the average, using the average grade, the grade plane,
Yeah,
you've already made, well, what was it, 7 feet, improved it. So,
No, you
or sorry,
gained
6
32
feet.
inches.
6 feet, you've improved it. So I really don't see that would be a real, anything more than 35 would be a problem for me, I think. Because
Yeah, I would like to see it 35 or less.
yeah, or less is good. And I suppose we can,
So Peter, I want to just be clear because we're getting lots of numbers here. It sounds like without doing anything, without even dropping the roof, we're saying that by averaging
Getting
front and
5 feet.
back, they're now down to 36 feet. So they haven't even done anything and they're at 36 by taking the grade average.
Right.
yeah.
Right, and then you're proposing, do you understand that? Like,
No.
the front is 31, the
We
back
just
is
don't-
40.
We don't
Right.
know what the grade average is right now, because that two sides are low. One comes up.
Right.
But they can adjust the grade
Yeah,
average, and they can get 30 inches from the drop in the roof and adjust the grade to get, and still beat 35 feet, so. Yeah.
The grade of the garage is still going to be the same.
Yeah.
Correct, but
Oh, wait, you need your mic.
Sorry, mic-
No,
It'd be
your
less
mic
because
on.
of the roof pitch,
Yes.
that's it.
you are correct. The grade of the garage would remain the same, but by bringing the elevation of the grade up on all of the other sides, that helps improve the average. That one side, yes, is going to lower it, but if you can bring it up a little bit on all of the other sides, now you're taking 3 higher sides and that one lower side is just bringing it down. Does that make sense?
Yeah, one of the issues, you know, we were having as a family is future, anything down in the basement. So right now, we have full-size windows. If we have to alter them to make them smaller, a little smaller, I mean, I'm fine with that and bringing the grade up. I just didn't want to have a, you know, full
Eliminate
basement
them
with all
entirely.
concrete with nothing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right. And
That's a big part.
And we want to see you use the property as well as you can, and that's, that's why we're here. But we are also trying to grant a slight variation from the ordinance versus, and we feel under 35 feet, or at least a couple, I don't know what the other board, but getting it as close to 30 feet as you can, while still being able to do some of the design things that you would like, would be advantageous for us. Does anyone,
Yeah, I think you said it.
okay, does that make sense?
So, and I think we're at the point where, we can pick a number
That they,
that we
yeah,
think
that we,
that they can meet without, having a problem, and then saying, well, or the option is we don't grant the variance, and you have to do what everybody else does, which is design a house that will fit
the ordinance.
the current ordinance.
Here's what I'm concerned about, gentlemen. Gentlemen. Hello, guys.
Yes, sir. Yep.
I don't want to have two different discussions going on, and it's very important. This guy's spending a lot of money to build a house.
Yes. Oh, yes.
I'm really respectful of that. At the same time, we've got our job to do. So I just want to make sure, because I just have a feeling that we're not on the same page. And again, I don't know whether it'd be better to continue this to the next hearing for the next month, so everybody's on the same page and you're clear about what you're gonna build, the pitch, the roof, the height, all that stuff. Because it seems like we're kind of a little bit speculative here of we're thinking one thing, and I'm just really concerned that we do what we're gonna do, and then you're gonna say, well, that's not good at all, it doesn't help us.
Right, we can say that we grant a variance for 34 feet, but you guys might not know what that really truly looks like until you go back and look at the plans, change the elevations, really see what it's going to do, how you have to adjust windows, anything else. And that might not appeal to you when you come away from this. So it might be in your interest to continue till June, redraw up the plans to see what you're really looking at.
Well, I could have a plan redrawn and have an accurate dimension to the inch, if that's what we're looking for.
I can't hear you.
So,
Okay. it's,
Yeah.
I would certainly agree
open
with
that,
Megan
Dennis? I
on
guess
on
it's
the
your decision.
fact that,
It's your decision.
My only problem is.
yeah, that's a good idea.
Add more microphones.
Then we're back to square
Thank
one.
you, that helps us a lot.
That's my only concern. If we do all the calculations and we push it out another month,
Yeah.
we come back another month and we can't make that height, then where we're at, you know what I'm saying?
Well, that's what I'm saying. There's a certain point where this house is gonna take on a look that it's gonna look like a dwarf. Now, if you drop the roof to make that thing 35 and we tell you we're gonna make it 35, we're gonna make it 35, but without looking at what we can do, I mean, I'll have the architect redraw it to see what it looks like. If it drops the roof pitch down to a 4-pitch, all bets are off.
We're
It's
not
not worth
saying to
building a
drop the
house.
roof any further. We're saying, you know, we appreciate you've dropped the roof,
No,
the,
talking
you know,
about
the 30
filling in
inches
the
that you
back
have.
more
We're
is what they're
saying
talking about.
but
to appropriately calculate the slopes along all of the different sides of the house
Yep.
to make sure it's something that still complies with what he would like to build.
Right.
But fits more within the ordinance and a slight variation of like a 33, 34 foot, and can we make that happen?
Right.
But, you know, for us just to say, you know, throw that 34 foot out there, you guys might get back, adjust plans for the slopes, and then go, oh, well, that kind of negates the windows in total, or, you know, he might not like what that looks like, and I
Right.
think as a board, we feel that it would be in your
okay
best
with that?
interest to really have an idea of what you're
Redraw the
agreeing
plans
to
and
before
continue
we just change a number arbitrarily.
Okay. well, that's
this
what
would
we
not
think.
preclude you from continuing on getting other approvals that you're gonna need, that you already know that you're gonna need, and it's gotta go to other boards and things. So, by getting a final set of plans to us, so we can determine.
What was that about other approvals we're gonna need?
Yeah, you're gonna need, I'm sure you have to go to the Conservation Commission, or, sorry, you don't have to go to the, he's got some plans out there because.
Go where?
Conservation Commission?
I don't know, do I? Is that something in Kingston? Is that required? It's news to me. First
I
I've heard of it.
would go ahead and read wetlands, and.
I think that there ought to be
conservation-
a policy where there's a sheet of requirements to get a building permit. This is the first I've heard about any conservation.
Okay, all right, just,
Application.
that you need to talk to the building inspector about.
Yeah, he doesn't give me this stuff. That's what I'm saying. He
It
gives me
doesn't
2
come to-
pages. I give those and he comes back and he gives me more stuff.
But you're responsible for knowing the ordinances and what you need to get. Technically, the building inspector, who unfortunately knew, may not have known all this, but,
Yeah, I got it.
Well, they have a septic plan. They have that approved. An approved septic plan.
by the state, right,
Yes.
You have an
yeah,
approved septic by the state and with all the
right, but
wetland
I'm
requirements.
talking about the,
What?
you don't get into it now.
I don't blame you.
I don't want to build in Kingston.
Let's see, what's.
I mean, what they don't want to do is, like, this can't be like whack-a-mole where
You
you're,
speak up because I can't hear you.
it can't be like whack-a-mole where you're, every time you turn around, there's something new popping up.
Well, that's what's happening.
That's what I'm
That's what's
saying.
happening. And this has happened for 3
That's-
months now.
That's the point, so I want to make sure, that I don't know if you, I don't think you do have to go to the Conservation Commission.
Yeah,
Maybe you do.
That's-
I don't, that's something that, it would be in the,
I was gonna
I
say,
think there ought to be a checklist that I ought to get and have all that information on it. This one piece at a time is for the birds.
yeah, no, it's something that it should come back as a letter from the building inspector, but, conditional uses, let's see, what's the definition here? Septic system, you're right, 150.
I think the point is, to me, if you come back here in June, everything should be, so we can,
I was gonna say, regardless, requesting a continuance to the next meeting at this point. I think that it would be better to have new architectural plans shown and get that exact percent that
Yeah,
we're talking about
I
with
think-
grading. I think that it would be for the betterment of everybody here as well as you guys to vote on something that's a little bit more concrete than us telling you we're gonna meet 36 or us telling you we're gonna try to meet 34. You guys give us an approval and it doesn't work out in the field. I think to clean it up, it should just continue to next month, can provide the board with all new plans. We can look into any sort of conservation that Mr. Coffin is looking into now, and make sure that we're compliant with everything so that this is the last step on his journey to getting a building permit and building the house.
I think that is a great decision, and when you're drawing up those plans, I think the closest you can get to 30 feet, the better, when we come back to discuss again.
We will try to get it as close to 30 as we can without losing the integrity of what he's trying to do. That's the
That's
best
all
that
we
I can
ask.
say. And be meeting with architect to try to figure out keeping the integrity of it while trying to accommodate the ordinance, and hopefully we can come up with the best number that's realistic that we can achieve.
Right, and I would just add, go to number 5 on this, because it is crucial that it's crystal clear to us in making a determination on 5. It's always where there's a problem on a variance for us. So the clearer you are, right,
Yep.
like, that's why we're really trying to give you the continuance to do this,
Yep.
because it's super difficult.
I understand that it's difficult.
I can't estimate how difficult it is and how tripped up we often get on 5.
5, from my experience, not just in Kingston, is the trickiest of the,
Right.
and I get it, the
Well, yeah,
hardship.
it's because
I can
every
clean up-
town in the state has to follow
Yes.
this ordinance, and you should be able to read it. They've given quite a lot of information. It was written actually into the ordinance,
Yes.
into the state law, the RSA, 674-33. And so that's, and there's been a lot of case law. You give one of these, but
Yeah, I think I've seen it before, but I always appreciate copies. Yeah, I know, it gets a little crazy. You can see that 1 through 4 is just this little thing, and then you got 5, and it's, yeah, I hear you.
the language
Requesting
is-
a continuance
Yeah,
at
the
this
language
point.
is super confusing, right? If you read those sentences, you have to read them 8 times to make them make
Yeah,
sense.
I know.
So
hard.
just,
Don't be discouraged.
yeah, we.
Well, I am discouraged,
I'm
not with
sure-
you guys, but my concern is I lose a whole month on everything, which is the sale of my house.
I know.
Timeframe, I'm paying on mortgages on everything.
I'm looking for a calendar.
And if we do get what we need and we settle it, and then I still can't get the building permit, because I can't close on a construction loan until I have the permit. So everything is compiled every day. So that's my concern. We wait a month, we get the plans drawn, I pay for architect, I pay for engineer, and then I can't get the. That's what I'm worried about, because I'm afraid at that point, it's gonna be more obstacles as it's been months now.
It's true.
And it's like out of control, it really is.
I'm
And that's
sure
my
I can
concern.
understand how you feel, and I.
Because this is costing me a ton of dough,
I
and
know
a
it.
lot of it could have been avoided if, things were a little smoother, I'll put it that way, you know what I'm saying?
Well, perseverance breeds success, so let's see how we can't get it
And-
together for next month. And,
Yep.
Okay, so we are going to continue this part of the hearing until the June 13th meeting of the zoning board. For anyone here as an abutter, this is your notice of, this is your notice. There will be no mailings going out to re-notify of any meetings.
Her saying that is the notice.
Okay.
Oh, cripes. Okay.
I appreciate that, guys.
And the equitable waiver, notice of decision will
Yep.
be emailed to you within the next 5 days.
Yep,
Fi-
sounds
five-
good to
5 business
me
days?
on that.
Week? Yeah, do we need to have new plans by a certain date?
I would,
By the, is it the Thursday
10 days,
before?
yeah, we'd have, 10 days. I think we just decided that last time.
Is it 10 days before? So, 2, 3, 4, 10 business days or 10 days?
I mean, since we're reviewing them, I don't know if we
So
have to go
Monday-
by that.
Monday the 3rd?
Is there any way we could expedite something, or is it, has to be a
They
month?
only meet once a month.
Yeah, we meet,
The 4th?
I don't think, we would have to post it, we have to give a, I don't know. They're asking if they
Is
can.
there any way to hold a special
Yeah,
meeting?
In 2 weeks is there, that's what.
Okay, May 30th. What is your experience on holding additional hearings? About special hearings so that this could be expedited faster?
It's up to you. We did it in order to meet
They do.
shot clock.
They're trying to find a
requirements,
happy
but,
medium with us. is what they're
meet
trying to do.
the
I understand.
state requirements for holding
Yeah,
a hearing
what-
within a certain time period, but we don't have to worry about that because we're well within that. A continuation just allows it, so.
Right.
It,
So how
and
many,
we could hold it a week earlier and still be in June, it would constitute.
and
but,
do the June
you know,
meeting on the
that would-
Yeah,
sixth?
it is,
but-
because
But
if you,
if somebody gets an application in
it's the same thing with the variance, if you got
the June meeting and it comes in
say, I'm gonna build
with a
30
deadline,
When's the deadline for the June
lives on
meeting?
that lot forever.
Yeah. Is May 16th?
I think that his guy's gonna be. able to
Okay,
do
so,
something
well,
that's
the
gonna-
deadline for everyone, for applications is next Thursday for June. So moving it up a week would be June 6th. So everyone would have to have their applications in already.
I'll figure out the.
yeah, so we'd know.
We know if we have any extra applications by next
I'll have,
Thursday.
I'll Joe
What's
calc
that?
it.
We would know if we have any more
I can get
applications
an
by
actual
next
calc
Thursday.
and bring in the calc.
So,
Um,
you could certainly,
If I can even have one bank of
So-
some.
as long as that gave us notification requirements, that if there's a
yeah,
hearing.
because June 6th
I'm gonna
is
go
still
over the
allowed for the
house
proper
plan
notification
with my
requirements.
guy Joe, and I'll do a calc on what we're, after I get that updated number.
Because I think
then
they're
can
4
do
foot.
it. I can do it.
I think they're 4 feet in elevation, the windows in the downstairs, in the basement, on the height. Even if we gotta shrink them down, I just wanted to have one room, I could have some daylight. You know?
But then proper notification of the hearing, we'd have enough time if we just bump it up a week. Okay. Okay. We could potentially move the June meeting up to the 6th, 1 week earlier, if the rest of the board would be available and amenable to that.
Okay.
6th of June?
Well, we appreciate that.
What?
Shouldn't be on a Thursday. You can check with Susan, but we haven't had that done before.
What are your,
What's the date today?
I can say yes, but I have a conservation meeting that night, so I'm like.
oh, there's a
yeah,
conservation
but-
commission meeting that night?
Okay, never mind.
But we
But-
won't be long.
But yeah, that's fine. Just do that. That's
Okay.
fine if that works for everybody. That's
What time?
3 days.
6:45.
6:45.
No, it's over in the
Library.
And that starts at 6:45?
yeah. So just that's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, the board is able to move the meeting up 1 week, so we could move it to the June 6th meeting and still comply with all of our notifications. That, okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
We're good with that.
So,
No, we didn't.
do we need to do a motion for continuation?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
I'll
Entertain a
move
motion.
that we, at the request of the applicant, that the hearing be continued to June 6th at 7 PM at Town Hall.
I have a second.
Okay.
Thank you.
Agreed.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you for your time.
We're moving the ZBA meeting up next month to the 6th. It won't be the second Thursday, it'll be the first Thursday. Just want to make sure the audience knows that.
Understood. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a great night, guys.
You too.
So we will not meet on the 13th then.
Huh?
So we won't meet an additional time.
No, we won't meet an
to-
additional time. We're moving the whole thing up a week.
We'll know by next Thursday. if
We'll
this-
know by next Thursday, because their applications are due next Thursday.
And they'll be notified that it'll be June 6th as opposed to,
Yeah. Right now we don't. So. I think so, and I think, giving that week is, yeah. Me too. Okay, so see if we can get through our potential proposed change.
Yes,
Huh?
we have to vote on.
Yes, we do, and it's before 10, so we're gonna hopefully try and we'll blow through this. it's the proposed change, sorry, microphone. The proposed changes to the ZBA rules and procedures. So these were put forward as adjustments to our rules and procedures that we need to discuss and vote on. So does everyone have their list?
Yes, it's in the package, it's right here.
It's in there. You're spread all over the
I'm not spread
table.
them all, I'm trying to clean
Okay.
up and, but
I'm getting Rick's ready to go home.
Yeah.
All right, so the first was to add new materials for review at a continuation are due to the board 10 days prior to the continuation date. This should be made as a new item number 7 under paragraph 10.
guys, can you go out and shut the door behind you, because we're
Thank you.
getting picked up on that.
Okay. This should be made as a new item number 7 under paragraph 10, and the remaining numbered procedures be renumbered. We were just trying to discuss that, figuring out like when do we need materials in by, and
Is it calendar days or business days?
that was a question I just had for Robin, and we haven't clarified that, I guess. So
It's
calendar days. Okay. Should that be added into this just so that for clarification?
10 calendar
10
days?
calendar days.
Okay.
Do we want to read through them and vote on all together?
Has everybody read them?
No.
Okay, well, we'll just read them quickly, yeah.
All right.
Sorry.
So delete from paragraph 9.2, preference to be given to a freely distributed paper which goes to all households in Kingston. That was a change because the Carriage Town News is no longer. Consider amending our abutter notification requirements to match the state law, which only requires verified mailings, not certified return receipt. This needs to be discussed. So,
And I will point out that one of the things that's going up the most in the postal hike that's coming up this next month is certified mailings. And I think Robin may have a handle on that as far as what your preference would be. In the past, for the planning board, Ellen always didn't like that because she wanted to get those little cards back with the return receipts. However, you can get this electronic verified mail that it's confirmation of mailing. And if the letter doesn't come back as undeliverable, the presumption is that they received it. So it's all the state requires now. It's significantly less. It's less expensive. You get electronic verification of mailing, and I think administratively it'd be easier, but I think that's something that it's the actual decision is going to be made by the Board of Selectmen, I guess, but we can certainly recommend it. Each of the boards, ZBA and Planning Board, can individually make their own decision on whether they're going to go with verified mail as opposed to certified mail.
and make that recommendation to the select board.
And we could just go ahead and change it, but it would probably change the fees a little bit, which we may have to change if we stick with certified mail because that's going up. So
I did a little research on this.
good.
because-
I didn't.
Well, a while ago I did because the NHMA
Yeah.
in their presentations recommend not the certified,
The
not
verified,
the
yeah.
return receipt, but the certified where you send it out and you actually still sign the card, but you don't have to go to the post office, they
Get
can
it.
leave it in your mailbox. But that record is only kept electronically for a year. So is that good enough?
Well, as long as
You'll only have record of that for a year.
you only have, the post office only have record of that for you.
Correct.
But,
We don't get a card back.
right,
we
but
have is the
we
little
can,
receipt.
but we can print out the page from the post office that verified the,
And file it. What I'm saying is if you don't print it out, you know what I'm saying?
it disappears. But I think within a year, you know,
Is that
the appeal
common,
process
what
is
I'm
only
saying?
30 days from the point of decision. And for us, we don't have anything that goes on for 7, 8 months or 9 months. You know, the way the planning board did for the warehouse. But
Well, this is the thing, Peter, is I would have to look up every single one of those independently. It doesn't go in a batch. So it's not a batch. So if somebody came forth and said, so-and-so get it, I can go in and look it up, because I have the little green card, the little white slip. But other than that, it's not like you get a record of the 10 people you just sent to. That's not how it works.
Okay, so what are they?
So I can look it up to a year, but after that, we don't have that information. All I would have is a little white slip. So is that okay?
It seems to be fine with me, because I think if it's challenged, it's got to be challenged within 30 days of a decision. So I can't imagine that being a year, more than a year after the mailings, butter notifications went out.
Are we being consistent with other, are we being consistent with other entities like the town clerk or the planning board or anything like that?
Well, the notifications, each board has the ability to make its own decision as far as what system they use. The mailing is paid for out of the selectmen's budget, but that has nothing to do with it, because no, that's just happens.
It gets passed on to the applicant anyhow, doesn't it?
Yeah, it comes from the applicant. The applicant's fees cover the mailing costs.
So right now, everybody's doing the return receipt.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean you can't change.
Yeah, and
Do we know what the difference in cost is going to be?
I don't know how much is going up as far as certified mail. I know that it's a significant difference in cost for the electronic verification.
Well, to me, we have proof that we have the little white tabs, because we're still gonna have the white piece of this. Yep. That we'll still have that in record, and the post office stamps that, so we can say, yes, it went out on this date. We don't get all the green cards back anyway.
I'm sure, yeah.
We don't, so it's.
We just got one at work that
Yeah.
we didn't know needed to be signed, because I think they saw the 1,700 people at the farm and went, yeah, no, and they dropped everything on the
Right.
porch and said bye. So they didn't even get it certified.
In the, I don't know what it's called, but the other type of mail where you don't need to do the return receipt, I think it's validate, you know.
Yeah.
That they can, like I said, leave a card in the mailbox, and you can sign it and leave it in the mailbox, and the post office can pick it up and they record it, whereas the green one, you actually have to be home or go to the post office.
Yeah.
So it's actually more annoying.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
person
yeah.
To get their mail.
I mean, if this is what the state is changing their requirements to, and we still will
They
have a
have it in
record
the
that it got
presentations,
mailed.
yeah.
And it is
quite
involved-
frankly, that whole thing where people don't, would refuse to sign it because they don't want to receive notifications of anything, legal things that's, they
Or it's inconvenience to go to the post office.
and
'cause they're not
it's
home.
inconvenient, and they don't bother, they
Whereas the
forget
other
about it.
one, they can leave in the mailbox and you can sign it or not sign it, but.
Yeah, and you've got a much better chance of getting full notifications by getting the verified mailing system. My recommendation is that we go to verified mailing, and
That's what's called verified.
Yes.
yeah.
I would agree with that.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. And then the last would be adding as a new paragraph 8.3 under section 8.0, procedure for application to read as follows. In accordance with RSA's 675-5 and RSA 673-16, the ZBA, in reviewing a land use application, may require the applicant to reimburse the board for expenses reasonably incurred by obtaining third-party review and consultation during the review process, provided that the review and consultation does not substantially replicate a review and consultation obtained by the planning board. The ZBA shall require detailed invoices with reasonable task descriptions for services rendered. Upon request of the applicant, the ZBA shall promptly provide a reasonably detailed accounting of expenses or corresponding escrow deductions with copies of supporting documentation. Creation of escrow accounts and payments to consultants shall be in accordance with the procedures described in RSA 673-16.
Okay, so actually that verbiage is taken word for word from the RSA 675-5, so that it's a procedure that we're allowed to do and that we were doing anyway.
Just puts it in writing.
And it just puts it in our procedures thing so that that we have it there, that it's part of our procedures, so that it's not questioned. It gives us the RSA references so that, if you get a new town finance officer, and they don't know how to do that, you know, the planning board and the ZBA, whatever.
It puts what we do in writing.
It puts what we do in writing, and it also reminds us that we've got to
Keep all these records.
keep the records and provide the applicant their accounting.
Yes.
Okay, so does anyone have anything they'd like to add or remove from any of these? Okay, I would entertain a motion at this time.
Other than the calendar, we're adding the wording
We're adding,
calendar, right?
yeah, we're adding 10 calendar days.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
So move.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, motion passes.
That was affirmative.
I was waiting for Rick to make that motion. Okay, now we're done with you. Meeting adjourned.